Hello, hello. We're starting not on the main menu today because I switched things up, I guess. And whoops, I forgot a thing. Whoops. Oh. Very professional, I know. Ugh. I always forget my mouse pad thing. I don't know, I use one of my card binders and then I put a playmat over it. And that's what I use on my lap. It's always just out of reach. I don't know. Oh. There we go. It's been a few days since I recorded. So, and I haven't stopped in the middle of a chapter before. Well, I think I did it in day one, but whatever. I kind of forgot what was happening. They were asking about Orlando and Orlando and Sal kind of had their hissy fit, I guess, and I think Dave is asking what would you have done? That's the last thing I remember. Ty? What would you have done different? I'm curious about this too. What, we're assuming that Tyson's capable? Capable in the first place? Oh. Roswell. Gotta be this way. Hey, lay off, Ty. I don't have an answer for this. Tyson pulls his gaze away from mine and went back to drinking his coffee, eyes focused away from everyone else in this discussion. After I'd gone through each of them, I sat back, still confused as to what the correct thing to do was. Expressing your feelings for someone was hard enough. Now, hearing there were multiple ways to do it made it an even scarier prospect. I want to know something. Something clarified for the table. What's that? Tyson's lack of response. What do you mean? I want to clarify if he's done it, he'd do the same thing Orlando did, or if it's something else. I'm working on a theory. Fuck off. That's none of your business. Oh, right, silly me. It was Dave who asked you and blew you, and you blew him off right away. Off anyway, yeah. Which, honestly, just makes my theory all the stronger. You're just incapable, and that's alright. Oh my gosh. Incapable? I'm plenty able to do shit like that if I wanted. Oh, yes. I'm sure it's possible for you to have nice feelings towards someone else given your behavior over this. My eyes darted between the three of them, wondering if we were going to have a repeat of the argument from the other day, just this time not about dogs. Tyson, if he's wrong, just say something instead of growling for a change. I watch over as Tyson sized up everyone present, including myself. Was he looking for an out? Someone to help him, or just weighing up if it was worth it? Well, I assume you say something in Tyson's route. I assume you kind of butt in and go, no, it's fine. It seems as though Tyson had that's just such fucking English, am I right? Enough though, almost violently getting up from his chair and storming out of the dining room. I expected that to go differently somehow. I don't know why I'm the only one that seems to have remembered how horrible he was to us. People can change, Roswell. I'll believe it when I actually see evidence of that. I whined softly to myself, looking towards the door into the foyer to see where Tyson went, but he was already gone. Instead, I saw Sal and Orlando descending the stairs. Welcome back. I kept my voice low as they entered, watching as they sat down. Tyson looked upset. think he went down into the basement. What happened? I look over to Roswell, who had his arms crossed over his chest and was seemingly not going to be the one to explain what had happened only moments ago. Part of me wanted to find out what happened upstairs with Orlando and Sal, but another part of me wanted to check in on Tyson after what just happened. Orlando seemed better, but being my best friend, I felt the urge to stay. But I really didn't like the idea of Tyson being alone for a couple of reasons, particularly because he was my friend too, and no one else was going to check on him, it seemed, partially because him alone made him a potential target for murder. I'll stay in this route. I think, yeah. Ty could take care of himself. As heartless as it sounds in my head, everyone else was right here, so the chances of the worst happening was almost nigh, right? So my attention turned from looking into the foyer to Orlando, who was drumming his fingers against the table. I want to apologize. Are you all right? If I'm being honest, it stings a lot, but I'll be all right. Took guts to do that, but agreed. Admitting that to someone takes some courage, to be sure. Wait, you're awake, Haas? Just resting my eyes. We've had a big day. Less people involved, the better. I see. These things are difficult. Difficult? Matters of the heart. I don't get it. How best to put this? Making yourself vulnerable, opening your heart to another in hopes of letting something greater in. It's a tough call to make. Sure, but why not just do it in private where it's safer? Sal sighed, rubbing his head. For Orlando's sake and ease of explaining, let me explain how my first crush went. Sal, no, you don't have to do that. You already had to explain it once today. No, it's fine. Broad strokes will do. It was a long time ago. Back when I still lived with my parents. Was a county fit. Huh? That we went to. Some community event. A mole that I used to hang out with and grown fond was there. They were small. I thought they were cute. Clever too. I assumed that, given we were on good terms, that there was no harm in confessing my affection to them. In public too. I didn't care. All that mattered was that I expressed my feelings and shared what love I had gathered with them. What happened next? Well, he's not currently dating them, is he? Clearly. More importantly, it was a mess, and not my proudest moment. I made a much bigger show of it than I should have, and in turn, they shut me down. Said I was embarrassing and that maybe we shouldn't hang out anymore. I guess I shouldn't really be as bothered about this as I am, but my curiosity is going to drive me insane otherwise. You see Orlando as a little brother, despite being different species. That is fairly easy to explain. Sal, no, you don't. He reminds me a lot of my little sister. Oh, okay. The way he smiles, cares for others, plus what motivates him. It reminds me of home before I moved away. That was callous of me, sorry. I can relate though, being the older brother to two siblings myself. Not a day goes by that I don't look at a picture. I don't look at the pictures I have of them on my phone. Throw me into the older brothers club too, although only a younger brother. Not that little Freddy is so little anymore. Still likes chocolate as much as a kid though. I don't have any siblings, just a mother and father. But I guess Dave was like an older brother growing up. What, really? Me? Of course. I even copied your hair. Really? Okay. You never noticed. I found my hand going to brush over the top of my head, much like Roswell was doing to prove his point. I didn't realize family was the most important thing to everyone at this table. Obviously, there was various things I didn't know about their personal lives, as it really never came up, but now seemed to be the time to ask. Well, I mean, we're on the Dean route. So Dean, about your family. What about them? You met Freddy before, right? I think so, but you said little, right? Well, he used to be little. I may be older, but he dwarfs me. Maybe closer to Sal's height, if not a little taller. Oh, is he that big bear that owns the pizza place? Yeah, that's him. That's your brother? You look nothing alike. That's, a family resemblance, I promise. Oh, there's a family resemblance, okay. Is that resemblance that you're both bears? Hey now. Freddy's just, I guess closer to my mom's side of the family. I'm closer to Dad's. I know your dad's side went into the lumber business. What did your mom do, Dean? For the most part, she was a stay-at-home housewife, at least from what I remember. Before that, she ran her own bakery. How am I only now figuring out about this? Well, you never just asked. I mean, I never ask about the personal lives of friends and acquaintances, so guess I can relate. But Dean, how am I only now finding out about this now? It never came up before, but I guess that's where Freddy got his business sense from. I can introduce you at some point if you want. That'd be great. I bet she has some great recipes, and I have plenty to share. I have another question. Sure, shoot. Your brother owns Petey's Pizza, right? Yep, that's Dean's brother. Okay, so his name is Freddy, right? That's it, yeah. Wait, then who's Petey? Oh, that'd be my brother. You have a second brother? No, this is going to sound dumb, but it's all branding. Branding? Is it... Is it because of the, alliteration? Well, actually, there was a licensing issue. Apparently someone else has a monopoly on bear-themed pizza restaurants, so, yeah. That's scary. What, the bear theming or the monopoly? Both. For the rest of the afternoon, we just idly chat, comparing life stories until it was time for dinner to be sorted. Orlando's mood picks up the moment we just chatted as a group too. By the time we had to consider what we were going to do for dinner, he was back in his cheery, bubbly self. When the question of who was cooking came up, Sal was the first to head towards the kitchen. Soon after him was Haas, supposedly going to lend him a hand. While he was still a fair way from having dinner sorted, I figured I should go check on Tyson, thinking back to his interest in Sal's cooking chicken. Okay. Ty, you down here? The lights were on, so maybe he was just in the gym. I stuck my head in, but he wasn't there, at least not based on the sound or smell. My eyes settled on the door to the vault. I was curious. Something was drawing me to the room, the door beyond and the keypad next to it. The first few steps were slow, but soon I was walking over there with purpose, closing the door behind me with a sigh. I wasn't paying attention to any, password things happening. I don't know. Damn. I don't know. They were talking about love and shit. No? Okay. Uh, can I type in Oz, actually? No? Okay. Man, I'm an idiot. I don't. Fuck. I don't know if I'm supposed to just fail this one or not. Like, are the only password choices that matter the ones that, like, are tied to, like, uh, I don't know, bad ends? Actually, does this mean a bad end is coming up? And, like, I'm gonna go back to this moment? Is that what's gonna happen? I don't know. Emotion. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give up. I back away from the panel, shooting one last look over my shoulder. Maybe it was best that I didn't go through another experience like it before. Nodding to myself, resolved that it could only be a good thing, I headed back upstairs to meet with the others. But by the time I gotten back, everyone else was mid conversation about something, not even pausing when I reappeared. Looking around at everyone at the table, I sighed. Everyone accounted for, everyone alive. Still, something bothered me. I was becoming a nervous wreck. Was I expecting the worst because it's already happened once? Before I could continue my train of thought, the smell of freshly fried chicken hit, wafting from the kitchen. My eyes widened, eyes darting towards the kitchen as I wiped the small amount of drool from the corner of my mouth. Jesus Christ, Dave. It's not that serious. Chicken was for sure a weakness of mine. Eggs, too. Or maybe it was just anything battered and fried, bringing back happy memories. Not that I liked my eggs deep fried. Okay. Just give me a good hard-boiled egg and I was happy. That, or scrambled eggs first thing on a lazy weekend morning. Never liked hard-boiled eggs, I'll be honest. Like, I accidentally make them on occasion when I, like, fuck up, But I like making, like, medium-boiled eggs and then, like, soaking them in soy sauce and mirin. Like, that shit, amazing. Hope everyone's hungry. We made a lot. Maybe too much, sorry. Sal's cool, I like him. Haas and Sal brought out platters of chicken, seemingly already cut up into strips. Guess they didn't fry drumsticks and alike and went with something closer to chicken nuggets, but fancier. I looked at Tyson. Well, wait, if Tyson wasn't in the basement, then where was he? Like, outside? We're just not going to address that? He's just like, okay, fine. I looked at Tyson and Orlando. Tyson's eyes were bulging, and he was visibly drooling. He liked fried chicken as much as I did, and he rarely got it. Orlando, I don't know how he was feeling. Maybe a combination of surprise and fear. It was a hard expression to place. That is a lot of chicken. Not that I mind, but did we have anything else to go with it, or just chicken? Yeah, what Orlando said. Yeah, did we have some mashed potato, like anything? Vegetables, rice, sauce even? Fries counts as vegetables, right? But pumpkin. We carved a whole pumpkin today. Why aren't we using that? Pumpkin doesn't, does pumpkin even go with fried chicken? I mean, I guess you could, I don't know, you could, dice up the pumpkin chunks and roast them, right? Like, I've never actually cooked with pumpkin before, I'll be honest. The only time I buy pumpkins, I've never bought a pumpkin, actually. Yeah, no idea. But yeah, we got any sauce to go with this? Depends. Hot sauce? Barbecue? I'll do either. But Ty, the last time... Yeah, I remember the last time. Should I be concerned? Nope. So long as we have water on standby, we should be alright. Dinner was great. I didn't know Sal could cook. All things considered, I had assumed that he couldn't cook at all, given he was asking Orlando for lessons. But maybe he was just a fast learner. I'd been gnawing. It's the G thing again, where I'm just like, look, I realize I'm illiterate and I don't know how to read. It's fine. It's, yeah, on the same piece of fried chicken for a couple minutes, lost in thought because I caught a certain someone giving me a smug grin from nearby. Dave, your nose is all scrunched up again. Is it? I swallowed, wiping my mouth before laughing to myself. So what's on your mind? Nothing important. Looking around the table, I thought back. Was someone at the table really behind the death of one of my friends? I was conscious of how much I was frowning now, but I couldn't shake the feeling, even when my eyes settled back on Roswell. Hey, I guess things never change, huh? You zone out, and your mind goes a mile a minute mid-conversation still. Sorry. Maybe I'm still just tired from carving the pumpkin. Sure, that's all it is. You're not worried about something haunting you like Orlando has been, right? Oh, no, not that. Just, I guess something equally silly. Cute, but if you need to talk things out, feel free to grab me. I nodded to Roswell as he took his plate into the kitchen, seemingly done with dinner. Pulling out his phone to see how late it was getting, I realized what Oz had told me this morning. Library time, I assume. As I cleaned up after dinner, I wandered into the foyer. I didn't know what was left to do until it was time to meet Oz. I'd already showered, but maybe I should again? Maybe I should ask someone for some cologne or something? What was the dress code for meeting an unknown someone in their own house when they could be either an ally or an ally wanting to stop a murder, or the murderer themselves? Dave? I shook my head quickly, clearing my throat. What's the matter? Shouldn't I be asking you? You seem upset. Are you cold? Did something happen? No, nothing like that. Would a hug help? Before I could reply, Dean picked me up in a hug, tucking his arms under mine and lifting me up off the floor with a gentle squeeze. Better? A little. While he held me in air, Dean planted a few quick kisses along my neck, ending in one on my cheek before setting me down again. How about now? I laughed genuinely, feeling much better. Much better. Well, good. How about you? I'm fine, tired, but mostly fine. Only mostly? Well, nervous, really. I'll probably be taking some medication tonight to help me sleep. Oh, because of what we talked about before? It is, but it's not your fault. Probably mine for not thinking before I spoke again. You know how I am like that. Still, are you going to be all right? Yeah, I'll be fine, but probably not in a spot to share a bed tonight. Sorry. Oh. I'm probably going to be snoring depending on how hard the meds hit. Not only that, but I might need some alone time to just... Well, I guess I'll just say it. Some time to cry. What? Okay. I did a double take, not expecting him to be so upfront about something like that. Crying? Really? Well, yeah. I can get sad like anyone else sometimes. Crying helps let everything out. Did you want to talk about it, or is there anything I can do? Not this time. This is something I need to work through. Promise I'll be fine by morning, though. It usually only lasts until I've had a decent amount of sleep. Well, if you say so. Does that mean you're turning in now? Soon, but yeah. Might take another shower to just freshen up first. Oh, then time for a goodnight kiss? Right. I leaned up to kiss Dean, expecting him to kiss me full on the muzzle, as he's prone to do over the last few times. But instead, he's skirted around me, pecking me on the cheek, and shuffles away. Sorry, just... I'll see you in the morning, Dave. Sleep tight. I was thrown for a loop, reaching out to Dean for, as he wandered away and up the stairs. Slowly, my hand found my side again, leaving me confused as to what just happened and how much of it was my fault, despite him saying that it wasn't. The house seemed quiet as I remained there. Looking around, I was half tempted to call out for Benson to see if he was around, but there was no telling where he was going to, where he was given how scarce he's been. There was every chance that he'd only been around to get us settled before being sent on vacation, right? Even then, what about Oz? He was still around, somewhere, right? I made my way back to my room eventually, sprawling out on my bed and staring at the ceiling. 11 p.m., library. Checking my phone again, I see that's only 9. I sighed and set an alarm for 10, just in case. After all, the walk there wasn't all that far, and maybe I could just do with a small power nap. Despite closing my eyes, sleep didn't come. Thoughts raced in my head as to what Oz wanted to talk about or needed to say in person. Did I have enough questions ready for him? What if I forget to ask? For a moment, I felt sick to my stomach, but soon passed away when I realized that there wasn't anything more I could do about it. Anyone else in the same situation would be facing the same problem. Failing that, I had backup in the form of my friends. I could run or call for help, and someone could come running, right? Before I knew it, my alarm went off. I wasn't sure if I fell asleep proper or just zoned out again, but I got up all the same. The house was dark and quiet, or quiet enough that I could hear the background noise of something. I heard the same thing before, but I couldn't quite place when or where. I stepped into the museum, looking around before checking my phone. I was early, it seemed, by a good 40 minutes. I reached for my flashlight, but realized soon after that I hadn't brought it, opting instead to use the light on the phone to look around. Dave has a flashlight in his main menu screen, right? That's a thing. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and I was most certainly the only one here. I did a lap of the room, looking at the various things to tick down the time. It all seemed unthreatening, shy of a suit of armor with a literal sword on display. Still, the blade seemed dull and bolted in place, so for the most part, it was harmless. I settled on a spot on the floor, sitting cross-legged while I looked around with my phone, shining the light on whatever I could feasibly reach. Minutes tick by until I hear the sound from somewhere nearby. My eyes darted to my phone, and my heart sank until, upon seeing there was still half an hour left before the designated meeting time. It was getting late, and the lack of sleep was catching up to me. I told myself that I'd just rest my eyes and had fallen asleep proper, until I heard something. I scrambled for my phone and saw the time, midnight. I somehow missed the meeting time despite being in the room it was meant to take place in. My phone was dying, and then promptly died the moment after, having been on seemingly for the whole time I was asleep. Groggily, I got to my feet, half disappointed, half annoyed that whatever meeting Oz had agreed to hadn't come to words, I don't know. I plugged my phone into the charger to charge, and yeah. How did you miss the? Jesus Christ, Dave. Okay. Dave, wake up, please. It was sudden, and I was being shaken by the shoulders by Orlando, who had tears streaming down his face. Fuck. Someone died? Hey, Orlando, what's wrong? Something bad happened. My mind began to race, trying to place what could have happened. I immediately feared the worst, but pushed it back down in hopes that I was just still tired after the day before. It's okay, just tell me what happened. Orlando's breathing was all over the place, but he nodded and tried to try bringing himself under control. I got up this morning, I couldn't sleep, and I went to the dining room, and his crying starts up again, and I took the chance to see just how clearly it was. How early. I don't know. Early enough that even Sal wouldn't be up this early. Explained why it was still so dark, too. It was well before dawn. Should I go see what was in the dining room? I think so, but you're not going to like it at all. Oh, is it bad? I mean, yes, clearly. I don't... Very bad, Dave. Very, very bad. Orlando wandered over to my bedroom door, looking antsy. There was no avoiding it. At some point, I was going to have to go to the dining room, and for whatever reason, Orlando had decided to come and grab me instead of anyone else. The two of us made our way downstairs, Orlando lingering behind me as we head towards the dining room. Just before the door, I reached out for the handle, shooting the dragon next to me one last look. With a quick nod for him to indicate something, I faced the door again, gulping. Whatever had set Orlando off like this wasn't going to be pretty. I opened the door and stepped forward. With Orlando lingering by the entrance, apparently whatever had happened spooked him enough that he didn't want to go any closer than necessary. It didn't take long, but I could smell it, though. The overbearing scent of iron and the faintest whiff of gunpowder. I froze, my heart catching in my chest. Somehow I was able to edge closer, taking it step by step. Nothing prepared me for what I saw when I rounded the edge of the table closer to the kitchen. Whether the tablecloth or something was the cause of how I didn't see it from the entrance, I don't know. But the moment I saw it, I yelled, anguished and confused. Okay. Huh. Interesting. I mean, I thought it was going to be Sal, but hey, it's only the otter. What's with otters in these games? You know what I mean? Yeah. My eyes were glued to the scene before me on the floor. I heard Orlando scurry off while I took in everything before me. He'd been so scarce the past few days. It was almost as if he'd literally disappeared for him to show up here. Like, this was almost a grim reminder that whoever had done this hadn't forgotten he was around. So I assume this is a bad end sequence. So I'm gonna open up my notepad so I can write down keywords if I notice them, and I won't, because I won't notice them. And yeah. My eyes settled on the gun in his hand, and I began to breathe hard and fast. I backed up until I was against the wall, still staring, hyper-focused on the body before me. Was it better than this, that this wasn't one of my friends, or worse, because the chances of them being the culprit had skyrocketed? I mean, it could still be Oz. We haven't seen him. I mean, I think he's a boar, because I do see... I saw a picture of a boar with a lab coat, and it definitely wasn't Roswell. So, I assume that. But whatever. I could hear the others pile in, catching Orlando asking someone else what they should do in case of someone committing suicide. I think it was Haas that was trying to calmly explain what he could, despite the tone of panic in his voice. Okay. Dean and Tyson were eyeing each other off, having both rushed over to me to make sure I was okay. Man, I love these two competing against one another. It's really funny. Like, I looked at Dean, whose eyes shot from Tyson to the gun, and then back at Tyson with the meanest scowl I've ever seen him wear. In a flash, he was diving for Benson's body. Almost immediately after, Tyson shoots me a look, coming to the revelation of his own part before he too dived after Dean, scrambling for the gun. Huh. Well, this is great. I knew I couldn't trust you, Bear. Stashing a gun just so that you could fucking kill someone with it. Me, rich coming from you, mutt. Only one packing heat here would be you, and I'll be damned if you think you could do it to someone else too. My eyes were glued to the gun in their hands, still reaching fist over fist to have control over it. Shakily, my hands made for my head and gripping what fur I could tight. No one else seemed to be saying anything. I knew I wanted to, but I was so scared. I was paralyzed in fear. They bickered back and forth, the gun waving wildly above between them until it slipped from their grasps. I watched as it fell, watched it fall almost in slow motion. The only sound I could make out was my own breathing until everything else was broken by the single sound of it misfiring. My breath was caught in my chest, and as my hands scrambled over my body, expecting to feel a patch of wetness or a hole or even a burning sensation, I let out a sigh of relief. I looked to the others, a smile starting to form, but it died soon after. Amazing. My mouth hung open, head shaking gently from side to side, denying what I'd just seen. Okay. Poor Orlando. Orlando was in shock, as was Sal, who was hurriedly trying to do something about the wound in the dragon's chest. My mind began to swim, having been thrown for a loop multiple times in quick succession. Sal, why is it so cold now? Hold on. Please hold on. I won't let you die. Haas was running out of the room and into the foyer. I don't know why. Dina and Tyson were still at each other's throats, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. Sal was tending to Orlando, trying to stop his bleeding with what little he had to work with. Orlando seemed to be hanging off every word he said, trying to stay conscious. Then there was Roswell, who had wandered on over, seemingly to the same state as me, stopping just before Benson's body and looking down upon it. I pushed myself off the wall to stand, wandering over to Roswell. This doesn't make sense. It was almost like a mantra with how he seemed to repeat the line over and over, almost trying to piece together why. Looking at Benson's body, I could only agree something was off about this. Something that seemed so obvious, but just so barely out of reach. At some point, the police and paramedics arrived, taking Orlando away. We were questioned, but they let each of us go. We found our own ways home from there. What had happened creating a rift in the group that bred distrust as to who did what and where the blame should be flung. I blamed myself and my inability to keep things under control. Thankfully, no one else did. 1 week later, I was at the hospital with flowers. Dean helped me pick some out, and with some careful planning, I was able to find a time to come visit when Orlando's family wasn't around. Various dragons in suits seemed to loiter around the place, and there was an air of oppression that lingered in the areas that were stationed. Sal had given me the room number he was in, so thankfully I knew where to go to make a beeline there instead of having to stop by the receptionist. Funny enough, despite the state of things outside the room, Orlando was sitting in a chair by the window, enjoying some sun while he played on a handheld gaming device. Just seeing him alive and well set my mind at ease. I'd assumed he'd be in bed unconscious or something, but no. There he was, as if nothing had happened, shy of bandages wrapped around his front. Hey Orlando, how are you feeling? Oh, Dave, it's nice to see you. I set the flowers down on the table nearby and wandered over to take the other chair next to Orlando. Doing okay, but the doctors reckon that I got really lucky. Was the wound bad? I'm sorry that I didn't help. Don't be silly. I was convinced I was going to die when it happened, but Sal was talking to me up until the paramedics came out. Whatever. Apparently that's an important thing. The body can go into shock if it thinks it's going to die. It just gives up. I hung my head, ashamed. I'm sorry it took so long to come visit. But I bought flowers. They're lovely, thank you. And I'm sorry you got shot. That's such an odd thing to say. Dave, it's not your fault. You didn't shoot me. No one did. I mean... I think people would disagree. I don't disagree, but I feel like people will disagree with that statement. Speaking of, how's Dean and Tyson? Dean's good. He dropped me off here, actually. He's doubled down on some sleeping medication he's been taking. Didn't sleep for a few days after it happened. Oh, poor guy. But so long as he's getting sleep now, it's fine, right? I nodded slowly, waiting to see if he had anything else he wanted to say. When he didn't, I continued. Tyson, he's around still. He's been staying with me. Something about not wanting to go back to his, and also wanting to make sure I wasn't too beaten up about, It's not his fault either. It hurt, sure, but well, I wish that it didn't happen for starters. But I guess more importantly, that I could tell him that in person. Him and Dean really... Maybe in a week, when I'm discharged, we can have lunch together. Something quiet, just to settle everything. That sounds good. I'll let them know and try to organize something. Maybe a picnic? There you go. A picnic sounds great. I drummed my fingers on my knees, not really sure what I should be saying. I still felt bad about what had happened, despite Orlando telling me that it wasn't my fault. At least this isn't like Orlando being like, I don't know, kind of bitchy and like telling you off and moving to the other side of the country and starting a bakery. At least that didn't happen. This past weekend I've been wondering something. What's that? If you had a do-over, what would you do differently? Oh geez, Orlando, I don't think... Humor me. I'd probably try and stop you getting shot for starters. Okay, but how? I don't know. I think we were just missing something major in the group dynamic at critical point is all. Maybe not necessarily a tank or something, but... How do I phrase it? Orlando taps his chin, stroking his beard. Turning to look out the window before continuing his thought. Maybe if we had someone that could arbitrate? I don't know word. Arbitrate? Okay. Watch that be the keyword. It's definitely not. Like, what am I saying? Don't I do that already? You do, but I mean to the point you you would have really needed to put your foot down or interject, though enough that they'd stopped. I imagine they're both listening to you if you make a demand, that they'd both listen to you if you make a demand. Demands are they bad, though? Are they bad? Okay. True. But how often do you, of all people, demand things? They'd be more than willing to comply if you spoke up with enough gusto, I think. I'm not like my dad, Orlando. I wish I was, but he was just... Is this the first time Dave's dad's been mentioned? Okay. Because I know that his dad's a character, right? That was how I first learned about this game, is I, like, saw a post of someone going, like, best dad, and I'm like, that character design looks cute. Is what it is. I sighed how, falling further down the hole of shame I was digging for myself for being so inadequate. Now, I'll have none of that. You have the makings of a great peacekeeper in your own way. Don't need to be a cop for that. You really think so? I do. Maybe it's something to consider just in case something like this happens again. Not that I'm volunteering to get shot again, but still. I nodded slowly, looking out the window now. A peacekeeper, huh? Okay. I'm glad you came to visit, Dave. Well, I'm glad to know that things are still keeping together even after all this. To think he committed suicide right there for us to find him, right? I wasn't convinced either way, but last I heard it was ruled as such. Honestly, I was just thankful that Dean and Tyson weren't getting thrown in jail for injuring Orlando. But with Benson's suicide calling an end to our vacation things became odd. Roswell got really sick and had to be admitted to a hospital. After I was done visiting Orlando, I was going to pay him a visit too. Dean, despite everything that happened, asked me out proper. Given the circumstances, I took him up on it, and we're together, at least as a trial basis. Tyson said he didn't mind, but left one day saying that he needed to sort some things out. Sal stuck around too, ended up moving in with Haas. The pair seemed to do all right. Keep mostly to themselves, but they check in every now and again. Orlando moved in with them after he was cleared from the hospital. Oh, this just keeps going. I was sitting outside waiting for Dean to get back from work with a glass of lemonade for the last hour. The weather was nice, and it was date night, so why not wait for the bear to get home and enjoy some sun? I pull out my phone to check the time. He was late. Sometimes it was just traffic, but this was getting a bit odd. Rule was that he wouldn't check his phone while driving anyway, so even if I tried to call him or send him a message, he wouldn't be checking it until he pulled up. As I was about to put it away, mid-sigh, it went off in my hand, causing me to jump and spill some lemonade on my shirt. Ah, cold. Setting the glass down and brushing off what moisture I could before it could seep into the fabric, I looked to see who it was. I didn't recognize the number, so I ignored it under the assumption that it was important. They ignored it under the assumption that they would leave a message if it was important. Whatever. It stopped ringing. Guess it wasn't important after. Then it started ringing. Started again. This time it was Haas calling. I looked out to the road quickly to see if Dean was pulling up before answering. Hi, Haas. What's up? Dave. His tone was serious. He sounded out of breath, and I could hear something in the background, almost like a siren. I need you to stay calm, and I need to know if you're able to meet me somewhere. Is everything all right? The next moment, I was standing, abandoning my lemonade to wander to the fence and look out to the street. Not that I knew what I was looking for, but I did so anyway. No, it's not. I felt my chest tighten, dreading the worst given Dean's lateness. Is Dean? Huh? No, sorry, you first. Look, maybe I should just... There was a sound of the phone being handed off to someone else before a familiar voice came through the other side. Hey, handsome. Dean, what's going on? Why are you with Haas? Why were you late? So, about that. I want you to sit down and stay calm, okay? I did so. I did as he said, sitting down on the grass rather than wandering back to the steps leading up to the front door. Okay, I'm sitting. Okay, I'm going to come get you in a bit, but... Dean? Orlando's dead, Dave. I almost dropped the phone in shock. What? But how? Why? When? Just hang tight. I'll come pick you up and explain. But that wasn't the worst of it. When Dean picked me up, I bombarded him with questions. He didn't answer at first, seemingly steeling himself before delivering more bad news. It wasn't just Orlando. Roswell had been killed as well. Sal was a wreck, having been shot as well, but was only nicked in the shoulder. Somehow he was big, and given how big he was, it was a wonder the gunman missed as they did. By sheer chance, Dean was driving by Haas's house when it happened. Roswell, Orlando, Haas, and Sal were all just in the front of their yard as a car pulled up and fired at them. Haas came to stand with Dean and I, with Sal joining us. So there weren't near the scene of the two. Yeah, whatever. Okay, we're getting there. I'm slurring words. I don't know what I'm doing. It's 2 a.m. You can shut the fuck up. My faith had been rattled. The last conversation I had with Orlando and the hospital ringing through my mind. Was there anything I could have done differently? Dean tried his best to help the police track the car for the license plate, but the investigators seemingly went cold. The investigation, whatever. Not to mention the streets became more dangerous soon after. You could see it whenever we went to the store. There were less police and more dragons in suits loitering about the place. Our corner of the world went dark. Something went wrong, and there wasn't anything we could do about it. Benson, bad end. Okay. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. Good. The normal things. When I saw the cause for alarm, nothing came out. My hands... Okay, like the usual text we normally get. Orlando had been shot, but by who? When? Was he going to be okay? He looked alive still, so maybe there was a way to save him, even if this happened. When I came to, I was staring back at the ceiling, laying there for a bit, letting my breath in. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna save here. And that'll be it for today's episode. So, fun times. So, yeah. I don't know. That was fun. That was neat. I hope Benson gets more screen time. He has disgustingly long legs, and that creeps me out. But it is what it is. And see you around, everyone.